Welcome back to the Lisbonian Lifestyle. I'm your host, Igor. I am big on reflecting on my past mistakes, reflecting on my past successes, but probably more so on mistakes than successes. I've never been great at celebrating my successes, which I think is a big mistake. But in this episode, I want to share with you the one question I like to ask myself every 10 years, and the one question I ask anyone who I just met. In fact, anytime I go to a party or a seminar and I meet people that I've never met before, in order to get to know the person in front of me, I've always asked this question, and it immediately shows this person's deepest, most sacred, most inner, intimate thoughts and feelings if they're able to answer this question honestly, which of course happens only about 50% of the time because people are just afraid of being vulnerable in public. But that's okay. I still ask this question every time because it helps me make sense of my environment and the people in it and find out who are the people that I actually want to hang out with, who is honest with me, who's not honest with me, and who is a person of quality that I should be spending more time with. So enjoy.
I'm Igor, and this is the List Building Lifestyle, the podcast for anyone who wants to build a wildly profitable email list working from home. If you'd like to make six figures, travel the world, and help people improve their lives in the process, this podcast is for you. I also invite you to claim a free copy of my best-selling book, The List Building Lifestyle: Confessions of an Email Millionaire, at igorsbook.com. Get the free book plus $3,000 bonus package that includes my best capture page templates, email swipe files, and traffic blueprints. Visit www.igorsbook.com for details. And now, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. One of my most favorite questions to ask people is, if you could go back in time 10 years or 20 years, doesn't matter, and you could meet yourself from the past, what would you tell yourself? And this is a question I ask because it shows you what is that person's biggest regret in life. And I feel that today, when people try not to appear too vulnerable and they're trying to keep their cards close to the chest, I find that this helps me get to know people a lot better, especially in an intimate environment where I'm there to connect and not necessarily to just kill some time. Obviously, I wouldn't ask this in a Starbucks lineup to get my latte, but I would ask that at a seminar. I would ask that at a dinner party, especially if it's somebody who I've started to connect with. And what's really funny is that sometimes people will give me this ridiculous answer that I absolutely hate, saying something like, "I wouldn't change a thing." Now, this is not a question that I asked. I asked the question, if you could go back in time, meet yourself from the past, and say something to yourself, what would it be? Right? So give yourself some guidance, some advice, maybe, share the winning lottery numbers with yourself, right? I mean, it could be anything. I mean, the answers I've gotten in the past were, one time, one guy told me, don't invest in all that real estate. So he obviously got smashed during the 2008 crisis. Another guy told me, don't cheat on your wife, right? Because he regretted cheating and then, the marriage breaking apart, realizing that even at the age of 60 something, his ex-wife is still his best friend. And he was like regretting ruining that relationship. I've had all sorts of answers, but when they say, I wouldn't change a thing, or I've got no regrets, I just want to say bullshit. Because first off, I don't believe that you have life figured out to a point where you've made no mistakes that you regret. So I just don't buy that. But second, oftentimes people fail to admit to themselves that, they have regrets and it's okay. For some reason, many of them will look at their life and they will almost try to give themselves this pat in the back and say, I don't regret anything. Almost to say that that they lived the best life they could have lived. But really, I don't think that's true. I don't think I've lived the best life I've ever could have lived, and I've really, really tried. Like every single one of us, we hold back, we let fear take over, we don't take advantage of opportunities. At the very best, over the course of our entire life, we might have taken advantage of one big opportunity. One. We might have overcome one big, meaningful challenge. One, for the most part. And most people, I guess, don't even do that. So I really don't buy the idea that you can live life without regrets. But I do buy the idea that you can and you should learn from your regrets. And I believe that on your deathbed, you won't be thinking about the mistakes you've done, right? I don't think you'll be thinking about, oh, I tried this and didn't work, or I invested $5,000 in building my online business and I failed, or I tried to stick to this diet and I couldn't, and whatever, right? I don't think you'll be thinking those thoughts, but you will be thinking about all the things you didn't do. I really truly believe that on their deathbed, at least all men, right? Because it's hard for me to look at the world from a perspective of a woman, and I do believe that it's a totally different DNA and brain structure and stuff like that. So I will speak from a standpoint of a guy, because that's the only perspective that I can really think of. As a man on my deathbed, I'll be thinking of all the things I didn't do. I wouldn't be thinking about my mistakes. I wouldn't be thinking about the things I tried. I would be thinking about the things I didn't do, and those would be my biggest regrets. And sometimes when I find it difficult to motivate myself, sometimes when I procrastinate or get sucked into the day-to-day routine and it kind of hide behind the idea that, oh, I'm so busy and I can't do this or I can't do that, I will try and motivate myself by sitting down and imagining what it would be like on my deathbed if I didn't do this. In fact, this is the biggest thing that got me moving when it came to getting me to finally lose some weight and get into the dating game, because as I was growing up, I was really socially awkward. I was really shy. I wasn't the most popular kid in school, to say the least, and I've really struggled with just talking to women. And I believed at the time that my issue was that I was fat, and so at the same time, I wouldn't do anything about it. I would just sit behind my computer, play my video games, and continue drinking Coca-Cola. And I think what got me moving was when I started listening to Tony Robbins' Personal Power 2 program, which at the time came with tapes, who then someone took those tapes and turned them into MP3 files, which is really fascinating, and shared them on a free pirate torrent website, which of course I used at the time because I was a teen and I didn't have any money. And why am I supposed to pay for self-development stuff? No way, right? I understand how long I've come since then. But I was listening to that program, and Tony Robbins did what he calls the Dickens exercise. Remember that story about Scrooge, the guy who was this cheap bastard who made people work on Christmas? And so on Christmas Eve, the ghost of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future show up on his doorstep. Like, if you didn't read the original, you've probably seen the movie with Matthew McConaughey, where the ghost of past girlfriends and present and future girlfriends, came to him to show him what an asshole he was. That's the most recent remake of that movie, and so the story is all about making whoever's misbehaving realize what they're doing wrong and change, just like that, just like on a dime. And the way it's done is by showing them what they were in the past, and the way they hurt people in the past, or the way they hurt themselves in the past, what's going on in the present that they're failing to see, and what's going to happen in the future if they don't change direction, if they don't change their behavior. And so I sat down and I did that exercise in writing about myself, about what if I don't lose weight. So I remembered all the hardship I went through as a fat kid in school, because children are cruel and they will make fun of you. And Israeli children, I think, are triple as cruel as other children. I look at my daughter who goes to school in Canada, and it's a very inclusive and very safe environment. Very little bullying, if any. In Israel, it's all about that. Israel is all about bullying, period. Like, everybody in Israel, even bullies in Israel have bullies, it's very, very bad. And so I looked at my past and I didn't like what I saw. Then I looked at my present In my present, I also didn't like what I saw because I didn't have any social life. I didn't have any girlfriends. I didn't have any presence anywhere outside of textbooks and video games. And so that got me scared. And then I future paced it, and I realized if I don't change, then I'll probably die a virgin or something. And so that motivated me right then to first off cut all sugar from my diet. Like I've literally went and I said no to sodas, to ketchup, to sweets of all kinds. And we always, even though my family was really, really poor, we always had sweets at home. We always had soda at home. And of course, we had a big TV. So all the things that I don't have at home right now, well, with the exception of Halloween and some holidays, like right now we're post Halloween as we're recording this, and my cupboard is full of like bags of candy of all kinds. But we're only letting the kids take one a day, so hopefully by this time next year they'll finish the bag. But I just went cold turkey. I stopped consuming so much sugar. I'm pretty sure there was still some sugar in my diet, just because if you read on the back of the label, there's some products like spaghetti that they do have sugar in them, and my mom never read the label. But my sugar intake went down by at least 80%. And then I also started jogging 3 times a week. I got a jump rope, and I started doing a jump rope 3 times a week. And I really got serious about my fitness. And within, I think, 2 months, I lost about 25 pounds. Just because, and I think it's mostly because of the sugar cut, right? Because that's where most calories came from. But at the time, I thought it was also because I was exercising. But point being is that Dickens exercise, being able to look into the past, the present, and the future, and really and truly spot my deepest, biggest regrets, is what drove me to become a successful individual. Thank you for listening to the List Building Lifestyle. Get access to the previous episodes, transcript of today's show, as well as other exclusive content at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. Also remember to claim your free copy of my best-selling book at www.igorsbook.com. It explains how I made millions with list building starting from scratch. Plus, I'll give you $3,000 worth of free bonuses, including my best landing page templates, email swipe files, and traffic blueprints. Go to www.igorsbook.com now to claim your free package.